Okay. Greetings, everybody. Greetings. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Going to go over some documentation tonight, something that's on the public record that everybody can look up. And before we get started on that, I want to remind everybody, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to ṟrøʌo and do the same there. And likewise, if you're on ṟrøʌo, get over to Hecklebus, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There is a PayPal button up there in case anybody wants to share some love. And the link is shared in case anybody wants to come up on panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over this first. Make sure everything's up and ready. And as you see before you, this is called a financial index. And this I got from the local courthouse in regards to both the criminal and civil cases. And as you can see, it says general/civil, criminal, and then full. And you see full is marked. That means both criminal and general. So this file includes both of these, whereas these are separate. Then we've got last/firm, and then first and middle. And notice they've got last/firm, but here they've only got LITT. It's all uppercase. And there is no LE. So that is not the last name. The last name is LITTLE. So what they've done is they've used this slash. That means they can substitute. In the English grammar, that means they can substitute. You can use one or the other. So if it's not the last name by observation, then it must be the firm name. When it comes to identification of parties in these courts, it must be certain. I have never, ever identified as the firm, LITT, nor did I ever recognize it or cognize it in the first place as part of any identification I was going by my entire life. Nor did I know that this, quote, obligor is identified by a number and not a name. The obligor is the party liable. So the obligor being identified as a number is obviously not me. Pure and simple. Greetings, brother. What's going on?
Just joining the party.
Yeah, it's going to be a party. It's going to be a party, all right. This is some of the stuff that I've been researching over the last 7 years, and this is what I'm using to expose the errors in the record is what I'm going to call them. Now, back when I first started doing this research and I was involved in this court case, I was pretty hopping mad, and I was belligerent, and I was combatant. And when it was all said and done, I was going to hang this judge. I was going to impeach him. I was going to, go after that fraud. I've had to determine in my research that I've got to call it something else and bring in that equity. If I go around blaming people, then that's that finger pointing one way and three others pointing back. So that's where I've got to realize that I'm the one that entered all these data elements that allowed them to convert them and use them in different ways that I didn't know of. And this is the context of a wise man doesn't put himself out there unless he knows what he's doing. So my research has shown me how much of an idiot I was throughout the first 93 cases, and that I finally had to put my foot down and gain the knowledge to be able to rebut this stuff myself, because ain't no one else ever going to step up and do it. So that's what we're going over tonight, is this terrible experience of this 93rd case and what I've learned from it by reflecting back and realizing my own errors.
So Keith, are you saying that you didn't go up to the judge and be like, "Ooh, fuck you"?
No, I did not. When I initially, first, of course, I was arrested, and that is a violation of the process due. They neither served me nor gave me the opportunity to volunteer to appear in court. So that's total failure of service. Okay.
So Keith, like for me, I mean, maybe I've just been kind of a pussy my whole let's just say this way, like I always placate. I'm very nice, I'm very malleable, I'm a chameleon. Like I can adapt to, if someone were to pull me over, I could probably get out of almost anything, probably. But watching and learning all this shit, and you realize I do remember, like I recall a time where I was about 19 or 20 and I was pulled over, and this cop was like, a total dick. He's like, he wanted something from me, because I didn't start drinking until I was 21, so I was like a very straight edger kid, and so I didn't do anything wrong. And I got pulled over as a straight edge kid, nothing wrong, but he was still trying to push these like power games with me. And he was like, "Where are you going? Is this your like? Is this your real address?" And actually, at the time, it wasn't. So I even told the cop, I was like, "Well, no, it's not my address right now," because I was so scared.
Yeah.
I was so scared of authority or my residence. Which, what the fuck does that fucking matter? Why do they give a fuck where I live?
Because that address is what it's all about.
And looking back at it now, like I get all my mail sent to a PO box at a post office. And I think I told you the story one time before, where when I first got my California license, it had a Dallas address. How does that happen?
Well, yeah, they don't give a fuck about where you're at or anything. They want you to give an address so they can come get you if they need be. But the address thing and all that is, you're saying it's your address and it's not. You're just the agent. And then when it comes to the driver's license, you can get a driver's license in every state. It's called interstate commerce, not intrastate commerce.
Yeah.
So now if you get a license in multiple states, now you have a license for intrastate commerce where you can change the license from state to state. This is why the officer from California says, well, you still have to have a license in California even if you're from Canada.
Yeah. So like so like in 2011 I got a DUI here in California, and it came back to haunt me like 10 years later. Like I thought I had handled it all, and they were like, oh, the DMV is a different entity. So I was in a different state, had never tried to get a license in a different state, but I was transit when I got that happened to me, and I had a Texas license. So they gave me my Texas license back, right? So they never suspended my Texas license. But when I got pulled over, I was told, you should never like answer questions, not do this shit. So they were like, hey, if you refuse everything, you're not going to be able to drive in California for 10 years. And I was like, whatever, fine. And so they pulled me out of the car. They forced blood tested me at the police station. And then here they say, okay, you have to do all these courses, all this bullshit. And because my BAC level was a certain amount, they were like, you have to do 9 months of basically like rehab or recourse, which was total garbage. And then I was able to leave the state, and I thought I was able to do it out of state, and they said that it was going to be okay. But my lawyer or my representative, which now that I know, it's such garbage. Like none of them know anything. They don't care. They just want their fucking money. And so I went to the other state. I thought everything was all good. I took the course that they wanted me to take, equivalent to the one in California. I did it, took it, And then when I went to finally get a Georgia license, like a year and a half later, they're like, "Oh, you have all these blocks on your shit. Like you literally can't get a license." I'm like, "Why? I did everything I was supposed to do." And they're like, "Not really." And then I call my lawyer a year and a half later. I'm like, "Hey, these people are not letting me get a fucking license." And I did the course. And then I called the DMV California, and it takes 7 hours on hold. They're a bunch of pieces of shit. And then when I talked to them, they said, "We only recognize it. Legally, you're fine, legally. But from the DMV standpoint, you're not. We're our own corporation, our own entity, and we won't accept you doing that in another state. So we're going to block you to where you can never get a license again until you come back to California. You pay us the fucking money and do the course in California," which I up and moved everything to do that because I was scared because I didn't know the laws. I didn't know shit. And so I had to come all the way back to California and do another 9-month course where I had to pay them.
Yeah. That's that intrastate. That's that intrastate contract that I was talking about. See, you're dealing in intrastate now, not interstate. When you transferred that contract to another state, that's what you did. You transferred the contract. Now you're in intrastate. You're required to have a license in the other state now. It's all fucking fucked up. And like I said, we're gonna go over this document here, and we're gonna show you some things that show you that they're fucking everybody, and they know it.
Yeah, and so I don't want to derail you, but like they literally told me, they said it's funny because Texas has their own jurisdiction, right? And they don't even really recognize California. So after all of this shit, I realized I was able to go back to Texas and renew my license, my driver's license, without even California knowing. So I didn't even really need to go back and do that. And I didn't realize that because I just went online, I hit renew because my license was about to expire, but I thought they were going to cancel it, but they didn't because Texas didn't recognize California's jurisdiction.
Yeah, they don't go outside of the Texas state for looking for credit checks. Like you said, they're private. Every state is. It's just that some of them prefer to check outside of their state. Texas doesn't. It's up to each state's discretion.
So I have a question about the post office as well. So like I have right now it's just a UPS store, but it looks like it's just an apartment or whatever. So
yeah, so it's a private mailing address. You're using a third party for a mailing service.
Okay.
So they would be the trustee between the post office and any other delivery service that you might go through, and they would be the trustee that would hold the property just like a trust would for the beneficiary. And then you being on the final destination end proves that you're the beneficiary. All you have to do is know the simple pathway of a trust from point of origin to the beneficiary. And in the middle, there's going to be a stopping point or several where somebody's going to hold it, and they're all known as trustees.
Okay, so let me ask you this other thing. So right now I'm getting like, because when I was out here, I got behind on a whole bunch of shit. You know, I had decent credit, which to me it's all garbage now. What the fuck does credit really mean? You know, whatever. It's a way for them to get you in the system.
It's easy to fix.
Yeah, and so I'm getting all these phone calls and letters from a third party creditor, and so I actually text them. It was a text, but I texted them back, and I was saying, because I had a friend that was in jail, and he was like, well, when they buy your debt, like when the credit agencies, like the debt collectors buy your debt, they buy it for like pennies on the dollar, or 10% of what it's actually worth. So if I owed $7,000 to a credit card company, they buy it for $700, but then they come to collect. And my buddy was like, yeah, well then if they sell it to a second one because you're not responding or whatever, then it goes down to like 5%. He goes, by the time they get to you, they're trying to get you to pay all this money. And then I started thinking about like what you guys say, and I thought, I never gave any permission for anyone to buy my debt. So if you bought my debt from Chase Bank, let's say I owe Chase Bank $7,000, and another company bought my debt from them, aren't they the now? I didn't grant them. I was the grantee or whatever you want to call it. I did not approve of that. So when this debt collection company is calling me, I said to them, I said, hey, you assumed my debt that I didn't approve. I never signed on that. So you actually assumed my debt. That's on you now. That's your responsibility. And you need to give me the true original contract of the debt that you assumed. And if you assumed it, then that's all on you. And I didn't agree to this. You bought this from Chase.
Everything's got to be consensual. Consensual means volunteer. You don't want to be a volunteer. If you're going to do anything for them, you want to get paid for it. You want to get paid for it in return by like exchange as the principal. And you always place the interest in the United States. That helps make sure that you're the, quote, ally of the United States and are not, in fact, trading with any enemy, because the ones you're trading with are licensed dealers.
So what would you recommend? Like, if should
update your records?
Okay, so should I write the company though?
Yeah, you need to update your records. They're in error.
So I need to write.
Don't tell them the correction.
Okay, so should I write the original debt company, or should I write the
one that's harassing you?
Okay.
Let them know this is a non-consensual message because you're in fault for failure to validate your communication. Communication is a communication about conveyance of a debt. And they want to talk to you because they want to convey the debt to you. You don't want to talk to them. You're not consenting. They don't have your written permission to contact you. 15 USC 1692A, communication. And then I think it's E that has consent. We'll look at that some other time.
Okay, I'll let you get to your broadcast now. But thank you for listening to me, Wizard. I love you.
Love you too, brother. This is from the Iowa.
Give me a. Ooh.
No thanks.
It feels kind of good if you actually just do that.
Yeah, I gotta have something deep in there though. I gotta have something that outdoes Aaron.
All right, brother.
All right, so this is the Iowa Courts Online, where I show you the 93 different cases for the Keith Orland Little. Okay. Now this one here happens to be the last case that they brought against me. These two are both previous possession charges, and they're lined up like this because it shows that there's at least 3 possessions. But down here, there's 3 more possession charges down in these other 90 cases. This is actually the 6th offense. And when we look at it, I might have to go in and re-up it. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Let's start all over. You'll have to excuse me. Some of these sites don't want to do this kind of stuff because they're secured and they don't leave their shit open, sitting there blank for a while. So let me try it again.
Hey Keith, I I gotta run, but thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'll be here. Okay, get this back up. Okay, we're trial searching. Notice it says last/firm, just like it did on that document. Last/firm. So we're going to put in the full name, and they're going to pull up that record. But they're not going to pull up the firm record, which is the other side of the ledger. The entry was Keith Little with the social security number and the address. And under 15 or 19 CFR 149.3 data elements, a buyer, a seller, or a ship to party can use a number in lieu of the name and address. And when you give them that name and address as a seller or an investor, a buyer, you're buying into their instruments. You give them a name and address, and they've already got that social security number. It's attached to the identification that you give them with that name and address. And you'll notice that name and address on that identification, the name on that. Hold on just a second. Hey, brother, I'm in the middle of doing a stream.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna jump on.
Yep.
All right.
Heckle bus. Yep. All right. So the last name is what appears on that identification first, and that's that military style. Now you'll notice on this side of the ledger it's Keith Orland Little. On this side it's Little, or this side is Keith Little. This side it's Little Keith Orland. In all cases, except for the marriage. And you'll notice in the marriage, let me see, which one was it? This one here. USA versus Gideon-Little et al. This means all others. So the United States has a certificate somewhere in its possession based upon the marriage license of Gideon with Little. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-digit identifier. 10-digit identifier. If you remember the video from last night, digital. Okay. USA versus Sally Gideon et al. And there's another 10-digit identifier. Okay. So let's go back up to this possession charge and get into this. And this is possession. I'm hoping you, I'm not sharing the screen yet, am I? What happened there? Well, it showed it was sharing, but up here it's not. Let me try this again then. Share. There we go. Okay, so here we have State versus Little, Keith O. Case number. And this is all under the summary. Originating county, Black Hawk. Created 8/24/2016. Disposition status. By trial to court. Disposition date 1/23/2027 or 2017. This means I wasn't dispositioned until the sentencing date. This was the disposition, and then the disposition or the disposition status was the process before that. It was for me to be able to comprehend my status. If I didn't, then I would be dispositioned. This is what we talk about when we talk about learning how to stand on your square. You have to know what that fucking square is first, and that's your principles. It's not some fucking written law, okay? If that's what you want to believe, you go ahead and believe that. Now it says possession of controlled substance, marijuana, third or subsequent offense. And like I said, this is the sixth offense, but they only limit it to third because they can't get any more than that on the record. Why, I don't know. It's a matter of accounting somewhere. I haven't figured that part out yet. It's an aggravated misdemeanor, takes 2 years. And this here says appellate case number, and it's got the appellate case number. It says document viewing, where there is a courthouse kiosk. So again, you have to get on this online thing to view it. Okay. So unless you're a party to it, you can't view it. Just like these. You have to use a username. I don't have a username. Otherwise, I have to register. I've never registered for any online account with the court system, and I won't. I don't suggest you do so either. It proves that you're not a party. They have to be able to convert it to an electronic record these days. It has to be maintaining an electronic record. If you offer in some kind of document and they convert it, they're the ones that did the unlawful conversion, not you, especially if you didn't know about it. So this was a writ of mandamus that they called in pro se. They called all my documents pro se, which I never said that. Let's go on to the next one. Financials, costs, $4,931.12. $135 for a surcharge. Source charge. The source is the little, the family. Remember? Other, $150. Total, $5,216.12. Okay. Let's go to long title. No long title found. Well, this is the original title. And this is a little bit longer. So I don't know. Still don't know what a long title is. I don't know what a long title is in trust law. Never heard of it. You know what I mean? Maybe in contract law, somebody could invent that term and place it in a contract, but it doesn't exist in trust law. Bonds. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Bail set. Little Keith Orland. Litigant. How come his name litigant here? But everywhere else it's defendant. Because as a litigant, you got to post a bond. When you post that bond, you become the surety without knowing it. And the bond companies know this. They're the ones posting them. Do you get it now? Okay, if you're going to deal with this administrative courts and their record, who is posting what to what? I keep telling you, it's the judicial postal docket where all the money sits. It's the administrative docket where all the names and titles sit. They're enumerated through a connective source of numbering systems. It is not the name. The name should be the same throughout all systems. And then they use the number to clarify any differences, like Keith O. Little from Keith R. Little. Obviously, two different middle names. The only time that the middle name has any concern. Otherwise, it still goes by the numbers. So they had a $3,900 bond, 8/31/2016, but then they've got this $5,000 bond for surety again, set date 10/21/2016, posted 10/27/2016. Then it says bond voided. So what happened here is when they issued the original bond and I appeared for the arraignment, I gave them a handwritten plea of guilt. Handwritten plea of guilt. and offered up the birth certificate. They and correctly spelled the name and showing the difference between the identification of the parties. And this judge sat on that bench and issued a warrant for my arrest for failure to appear while it was on the docket, on the record, that I was there and made that statement. And my companion recorded it while she was sitting right there with me. So then they issued a $5,000 bond. And I called up Lederman Bond Company called me up and asked why I didn't show up in court. I said, oh, no. I showed up in court and this is what I did. And I've got a video of it and my companion will testify to it with a handwritten statement herself. We went down and talked to them, showed them the evidence, and they went to court the following Monday, had me meet them there. And this cocksucker, released on previous bond posted, he voided this bond because he was caught issuing a false bond. Okay. I had him by the balls there and didn't know how to proceed. Again, this was in my very beginnings of the learning stage. Greetings, Mitchell. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. I'm just listening.
Good to have you here. Good to have you here. I want to take a minute to remind everybody to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to ؐrreò and do the same. If you're on ₦rreò, get over to Hecklebus and hit that like, share, and subscribe. There's a PayPal button down there. I'm going to go ahead and post it again just in case it's gone by, in case anybody would like to share some love. And then, of course, I want to say hi to everybody. Austin Murphy, Velvet Pin, Moon Peach, 5-Speed, Freedom Fighter, Layla, Hard Hat, JLV, Aaron. I saw Mitch Lovin and what's up, Cynthia, in there. Greetings, everybody. If I missed anybody, my apologies, but I do appreciate you helping out with your comments and your views and likes and all that. So keep it up, and we're going to get back to it, because this is stuff that's so simple to figure out and shove down their throats now once you realize what means what. Okay? So let's look at filings. Okay? These are the filings for this one case. And it starts out with this one over here, criminal complaint. Comments S1670119. This looks like a 9-character setup, which is just like a birth bond receipt number. Okay. It may well be that surety bond, and that comment is the attached to the birth bond receipt. They have to be able to do a chain of title. So they can't just go back to a certain point. They have to go back to the point of origin to make sure that title is valid according to the law it's posed in. Okay. I am not stating that that is actually what it is, but that's what I believe it to be. No one will tell me. And I bet if I ask that in a forensic audit, it might come up. Number 2. So they filed the criminal complaint. The next thing they wanted was a financial statement. This is where they held me in jail and wouldn't let me go until I signed a summons. Refused to sign the summons, but I provided the bond, which is the same thing. All they needed was something to switch the surety. Okay. But before that, upon this criminal complaint, they arrested me alongside the road. They never acquired personal jurisdiction according to proper service, nor did they acquire personal jurisdiction according to the voluntary appearance of the defendant in the court. They immediately arrested it alongside the road and took him to jail. Period. Failure of process right from the start. That's abuse of a legal process done for a contract purpose, which is breach of contract, which is malfeasance of trust. And then they looked for a financial statement. Appointment for counsel. They need a financial statement because they need to make sure that you're within the corporate boundaries so that they can provide a financial bond. Without that, no one can defend you in a court. They tried to appoint me one. Name it was, they tried to convince me it was Lees, but it was spelled Lies. I think that sounds a lot like and looks a lot like lies, but who knows? Anyway, when he tried telling me the court appointed him as my counsel, I told him if he said one word in that court, I would hold him liable. And believe you me, he never said one word, not one word. So then, upon that promise to appear under threats, duress, and coercion because I was kidnapped and imprisoned for ransom while seeking a financial statement, Deuteronomy 24:7, anyone caught stealing the brethren of the children of Israel making merchandise of him shall be put to death. Ye shall put evil away from among you. So, upon promise appear and posting of a surety bond through Lederman's bonding company, counsel waived, released on promise to appear. And this was for hearing for initial appearance before David P. Odekirk. And this is where I asked him about crossing that bar, and he said I had to. It was an order. It was an order. On record. Wasn't a promise to pay, as in like a promise to appear. It was an order. And then there's other event. It says letter from defendant. Other event, letter from defendant, second notice. And then it says other order, no action on pro se correspondence. This is when they started calling my correspondence pro se. I never stated it was pro se, and that's a wrong and false interpretation. They were private communications, as I stated. Other event, letter to court. Then all of a sudden there was a appearance for trial information, and this is where Mr. Harris, Jeffrey Harris, took me in the back hallway because the room that we were in was full of all kinds of attorneys and stuff, and I was questioning jurisdiction. So he took me in the back hallway with the prosecuting attorney and affirmed that they had jurisdiction. I didn't know the exact premises of the jurisdiction as I was still researching, but guarantee you by the time I reached sentencing, I put forth the notice of foreign status that clarified that they couldn't get jurisdiction over me in any of their 27 different venues. This was always also noticed on a minutes of testimony. Minutes of testimony. There was only one first-hand witness in that court, and they negated everything I said. So the minutes of the testimony, being comments from second and third hand parties, are nothing but inventions, fabrications, and fictions, and any etymological English major will give that testimony on a stand. You motherfucking ignorant idiots. Ask me if I understand English again, you cocksuckers. Order for arraignment. Order for arraignment. 9/29/2016. No action on pro se letter. Copy to counsel. CC to defendant. Remember, they called me litigant before. Now they're calling me defendant. Okay. Other event. Note, defendant returned mail unopened and refusing further mail. Okay. Arraignment 10/21/16. This is where I appeared before the judge, and it wasn't Moodhart. The judge that I appeared for on this arraignment was Nathan Callahan. And upon that, when I left, he filled out an order for failure to appear, sent it over to Lederman. Lederman called me the next day, asked me why I didn't appear. It happened to be Friday, so they waited until the following Tuesday. letter for rearrangement. 10/12/12/20 or 10/12/2016. Other event, letter from defendant. 10/13/26. Failure to appear arraignment. Bond set 5,000. Bond forfeited and surety timely satisfied or request hearing. This is where I went before Callahan again. And he put down, along with his buddy Joseph Moodhart, that I appeared before Joseph Moodhart in the original arraignment and that they ordered for a continuance. That is a lie. In honor for the record, my companion will testify to that. We have a recording of that appearance. The Lederman's Bond Company saw that video, and that's why they agreed to go over and stand in appearance with me while they did the arraignment again. Order to issue public bench warrant. If you remember my thing about the bench warrant here, what, a year and a half ago, you'll remember.
Y'all want it, never mind.
We're going to mute you, King. You remember that I showed you that they have absolutely no evidence on there for anything. They have no charges. They have no long title. They have no bond. They have no finances, yet they turned around and filed a bond for $350, issued it to the sheriff, and ordered an order for kidnapping. That's a bill of lading in, on, and for the record. And that's exactly what they did in this case. Greetings, King Al Bay. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Listening to you, man, break down this stuff, all of these abuses of the court. This listening to how you going through the formalities and breaking it down so that I can pick up some of this, all of this stuff that you're using.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that you'll see trust terms and operations in here. If you learn trust law, you will see what they're doing through that surety. Like I showed you, when you post that bond, that's a surety bond, and that bond company knows this. The clerk of court putting you in as a firm name knows this. They know this, and that's collusion, that's sedition, that's treason. All you got to do is give them notice, and if they don't step down, hang them. There's enough rope there for them to hang themselves, and that's all you got to do. Listen, I gave this cocksucker notice. I let him know this is in the interest of the United States. He thought his interest carried over the interest of the United States. You better take care of your fucking bitch. That's all it is. Not necessarily in that language, but that's the way I feel about it in my heart. Because I'm tired of this, and everybody else should be too. These people do know this stuff.
Let me ask you something.
In a certain sense. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's say, like, we filed a complaint with the Attorney General, not the Attorney General, for the clerk of court dereliction of duty, violating due process, abusing the process for an individual when she did a religious protest and put it in there, and they told her she has to. The judge, they wouldn't accept her documents. They said that the judge had to evaluate her to determine if she can file on her own behalf.
Right, and that's because they're in this court, and that's a public court of contract, and people keep thinking that they're in this lawsuit, and they can't do that. Contract is automatic arbitration. So when they flip it over to a lawsuit, again, they're failing to follow contract law, and that's breach of contract. Now they're turning around and in that trust law, they're trying to administrate it in a state of a man that's in fact live and right before their eyes. And that's breach of trust. That's malfeasance of trust. That's executor days on tort, all kinds of shit. Treason, sedition, you know. And the only way you can get them on treason and sedition is by doing your proper notice. So when you give them your proper notice, now you got them by the balls. And that's when you tighten that grip on that administrator. So anyway, let's get back to it. And I dropped the panel link down there for anybody that wants to come up again. And if you're on Facebook, you're not going to find that panel link. We got to come to YouTube for El Perro or Hecklebus. I don't have enough want or will to go to Facebook to post over there. There's a lot of people that should just come over here to YouTube. It's a lot easier to follow. You get involved in a better chat and everything. I appreciate I appreciate you on Facebook, but it's much more convenient to come to YouTube. So back to
I
this.
just want to say, sorry, Wizard, real quick. I just want to say thanks for sharing this, man. This is the way you're breaking it down is very valuable. So
Well, yeah, and I hope people pay attention to it. And I know you guys here on the panel already know a good concept of what's going on, so you're able to comprehend it a little bit better. But those folks that don't comprehend this, I assure you, just take your time and patience and start learning this stuff. You're never going to get out of it until you start. And the way you start is my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you want to rebuild yourself and prevent yourself from being destroyed, start building that foundation of knowledge.
Damn. I'm still kind of What fan?
All right. So let's get back to it. And we are at court reporter memorandum and certificate with fee. This is Jennifer Holtham, and she's the court reporter, and she's the one that went in there on that day and recorded that one. Okay. Now, how come she didn't record the one earlier? How come there is no recording on this one? If there was a recording on this one, it would have been under Callahan. Like I said, they put Moodhart in here. I guarantee you that was not the man that sat on that bench that day. Now we've got written plea of guilt filed again. How come it went to Jill DeVries? How come it didn't go to one of the judges? Who is this Jill DeVries? She's certainly complicit in it. There's a motion. Comments, motion to cancel warrant or forfeiture proceeding. Is she one of the internal clerks? Motion to cancel warrant is denied without hearing. Motion to cancel warrant is denied without hearing. Order setting trial. 10/27, 10/25. Wait a minute. There's another one of them. Failure to appear and then show up for court. Motion to cancel warrant is denied without hearing. You remember that warrant that was canceled, that $5,000 bond that was canceled? But he remanded it back to the original bond, $3,900. So they canceled, but on the other one it was voided, saying it was no good. And now they're putting in a motion to cancel warrant is denied without hearing on the 26th. Order setting trial, pretrial conference, 11/10/2016, 3 o'clock, final pretrial. Jury trial, 12/6/2016. Hearing for initial appearance. Wait a minute. 10/27/2016. Hearing for initial appearance. 9/6/2016. Why are there two initial appearances? Do you see the change up? You see they change things up? My transcripts show 8 different styles of Keith Little Keith Orland. 8 different styles. They change all kinds of things up. And when it comes to these cases, the identification of the parties must be certain as to there is no errors. Let's see here. Warrant served. Warrant served. There was no warrant served. Everything I did in these appearances was I walked in and out. I traveled in my truck with them fucking private property placards on it and parked right in their fucking lot. Letter, deed of conveyance, affidavit of life and nationality and power of attorney. They recognized it. Final pretrial. It's there and they have it. Trial remains as set. This is my asset, folks. Do you understand? The language is right before you. This is my asset. This and the paper documentation I have showing all of their lies that I'm willing to forgive through my own repentance, so long as they cognize them now and recognize them as an error and make whole that which was mistaken. Affidavit and demand for discharge and notice of intent to file claim. Notice says other event, and they struck it. It says entered in error. Demand for valid subscribed oath of office and proof of bond. That was not entered in there. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was looking for that bond. I want that bond. I want that bond. I want that bond right there. I want that bond. I don't want the security, the surety bond. I want the first fucking bond. Counsel waived. Released on previous bond posted. Bond set aside. And then all of a sudden they served that warrant. Funny shit. Order setting hearing, pro se motions. I never entered any pro se motions. Everything I stated was either interpreted wrong, whatever. That was not my intent. I never used the term pro se. Never. Order setting hearing. 3 documents from defendant. 12/1/2016. Just before trial. These are my common law claims. All pro se documents and or pleadings are to be heard at the hearing previously set. The hearing previously set. Right here. Letter rogatory for relief. This was the hearing previously set. 12/5. Return of service. They sent them all back. Defendant shall have no contact in person or written, telephonic, or electronic with any member of employee of the Blackhawk County area office during the Blackhawk County Administrative Office during the pendency of this case unless he is in judicial proceeding with judicial officer present. That's the order for protection they filed against me, saying that I said that this woman here was committing fraud. I never said any such thing. When I filed the 3949A, I said there was evidence of fraud in the case. I never named anyone. I just named her as the prosecutor and said that there was evidence of fraud in the case. I never accused her of committing it. Other event, demand to recuse. Return of service. Refused it. Order setting hearing, sentencing. 12/20/2016, just before the holiday. Wonderful shit. Then they struck an exhibit, and I have no idea what these exhibits are because they're all hidden unless I get on to the register. Not going to do that. Not going to do that. So, other event, counterclaim. So they have a copy of my counterclaim that I put in at the time. Like I said, though, I was a combatant and belligerent back then. I'm a much more forgiving man today. So then I entered an affidavit of error and new knowledge. 1/23/2017, sentencing day. Order of disposition, fees waived. I'll be damned. If the fees are waived, why are they wanting to charge me $5,216.31? How is that? If those fees were waived, it doesn't say any one. It says Blackhawk County Services attorney fees waived. Now, the court-appointed representative was on contract to work for the Blackhawk County Services, and therefore his fees were paid through them. Exhibit, comments, sentencing, court-ordered payment plan. Really? I never agreed to any court-ordered payment plan. Notice of appeal. And then this cocksucker tried to put my writ of mandamus in through his court as a district county court, when it was clearly addressed to the Supreme Court of the state. Other event, aggrieved meritorious default appeal. Aggrieved meritorious default appeal. This exists in eternity. It's like the statute of frauds. There is no statute of limitations in fraud. What is fraud? Fraud is the same thing as false, fictitious. So you don't have to call it fraud. You can call it false. Order setting hearing, writ of mandamus. This is where he said it in this court, the local county court, before Nathan Callahan, and it wasn't Nathan Callahan that heard it again. It was Joseph Moonhart this time. So again, they don't even know who put what on these documents. Okay. Combined general docket report. I let them know I was providing special communications. And yet they entered it into the general docket report. They didn't get personal jurisdiction by service or by volunteer appearance of the defendant. They entered everything on the general docket, claiming judicial when that's the postal docket. Remember the order, protection order? Order for protection, that's the judicial docket. Court reporter memorandum, no hearing held on defendant writ of mandamus. Transcript of all proceedings to be provided at public expense. This is where they were trying to tell me that I was going to end up paying about $1,500 for 256 pages of transcripts. And I said, no, You've got that number there that says that's supposed to be provided at the state's expense. You're going to give me that motherfucker. I'm gonna let them know that you're charging, making false charges again. And like I said, folks, I call every 6 months to the Treasury offset program. So all of this stuff they're posing as fines, fees, and penalties doesn't exist at the federal level on the judicial docket. It only exists on the administrative docket. Therefore, it's never been secured. They can't hold it against me. It's not a security. If they try to issue it as if though it is, which they've already done, they've created a false security. That $3,900 bond, I wasn't qualified to sign that. I'm not part of the administrative courts to be able to sign such a bond that was generated from within the administrative system, as if though it was an offer to a second party. I'm a third party to that administrative system. Redacted. Court reporter transcript. Redacted. What was redacted? I've got the entire thing, and if you redacted anything, I don't see it. Court reporter transcript sentencing held January 23rd, 2017. Court reporter transcripts hearing held February 3rd. This is the one where they came back and tried to hear the writ of mandamus in their local district court. And when they tried doing that, I demanded the transcripts at the same time. This is why it's all 29292929, despite that it was January 23rd and February 3rd. Writ of mandamus is denied. Proof brief. It is struck as prematurely filed. Struck as prematurely filed. When I stood in that court and told them, no, it's not supposed to be filed in this court. It's supposed to be filed in the Iowa State Court, Supreme Court. See how they lie? And that says so in this transcripts. It says that I told them it's supposed to be filed with the state court. And they say it is struck prematurely filed. That's a lie with the transcripts that I have. Then I was sentenced with 60 days. I requested good time and was discharged on 3/12. Discharged. Good time required request is granted. Certificate of time served, 60 days. $1,060.50 paid to the court representative, Brian Ehrlich. He is now a state representative for Maryland. Indigent defense claim. Certificate of transmission of record. Order from 12/2/16 remains in effect until after appeal served. That's that protection order. Other order comments dismissed. I can't remember what this was that I filed. I would have to go look through my actual papers. I should have made a note on that. Anyway, bill of costs appeals. Bill of costs. Really? What is procedendo? Supreme Court clerk, Supreme Court deputy clerk. Oh, look. Now they changed from the Blackhawk County stuff to the Supreme Court clerk. That's that mandamus. And it was returned for service as a dismissal. They dismissed it. But it was noted as an appeal, so it is still remains an appealable offense. Computer generated notice. Final notice of past due court fine and costs. 6/1/2017. Less than a year after I was initially charged. And they still haven't come out with a warrant to come get my ass. I dare you. I dare you. Now, who is this? Kellyan M. Lacar. Comments, $3,360 for room and board. Room and board at a nice, luxurious hotel. Application for room and board, Blackhawk County Sheriff. Who is this guy? Oh, that's a judge and magistrate for District 1 right here. Okay. So he made the order, so he's liable. Okay. He's the one that made the order. Notice of final redaction of transcript. I want to know what these redactions are, because I don't see them. Redaction is where they would show you a black mark showing that where the redaction was at, so you could compare it to an original record to see what was redacted. System withdrawal appearance. Don't know who these guys here are either. Comments withdrawing Kevin Mellick and appearing Daryl Mullins, 6/6/2022. I have nothing to do with this. I walked off. Notice of final redaction of transcript, 7/18/2017. This is after. So if they redacted anything, I'm wondering what they redacted. Are they redacting the information I'm catching them on? I don't know. I don't give a fuck. I got my own record. Got my own record. So what do you think, King L Bay? You're still here? Got my own record. You still with us, King? So what do you think, King L Bay? You still here? All right. Well, it seems like he's busy in the background for a minute, but I'm going to take time to.
I'm watching it on my big TV. I got to cut off my big TV. Hold on.
All right.
Let me stop. I'm showing it on my.
All right. Well, it seems like he's busy in the background for a minute, but. That's quite all right, brother. Quite all right. I want to take a minute real quick to say hi to everybody. Again, I appreciate everybody showing up. I'm going to drop the PayPal link in case anybody wants to share some love. In the meantime, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on a Heckle Bus, get over to El Perro. Right, if you're on El Perro, go ahead and get over to Heckle Bus. In the meantime, God bless everybody. I appreciate you showing up. And if you feel like it, the StreamYard link is pinned to the top on YouTube. So feel free to come on up and discuss anything. I'm willing to answer any questions. So what are you thinking, Nelbay? I can go over and take this apart piece by piece even slower if you want. But the basics is that you get this information that they're required to give you, and you go through it and you find out what information. I can go over and
give me a second.
Piece by piece even slower. Okay. But you got to go review it. It's at Isaiah 54:17, let no tongue prosper against you by learning those tongues. So take that information and research it. You don't have to use their forms and everything to do anything except learn the knowledge of what they're doing. Once you learn that knowledge, now you can rebut it.
Can you hear me, Keith?
Yep, we got you now.
Okay, I was showing it on my big screen. I was casting it. So I was looking at everything that you was breaking down. So, I mean, you on point. I remember I filed a writ of mandamus. Normally, I file a writ of mandamus with a prohibition. Normally, that's how I normally file it. A writ of mandamus with a prohibition. Joe Dieters, the county prosecutor, they came in and intervened and said, well, your writ of mandamus, it was pretty much they were saying that it was premature, and I was saying that the state, because they were trying to deny me a due process. That's what I was arguing. I did an affidavit in lieu of the transcripts, um, and the judge would not accept my affidavit under civil rule. I think it's 56. I can't remember E. And I was filing that, so they denied it. So I filed a writ of mandamus because, and with the prohibition saying, "Hey, the court is not allowing this case to move forward." They were demanding transcripts. So I was listening to how you were breaking it down, and this is the stuff that we have to go through and go through the red tape. It took me 8 years to get a remedy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out, because like you said, we don't supposed to be in them courts.
No.
And you can get caught up in doing all of these things just to get a remedy. Because I felt like even though I won, I lost. This took me 8 years.
Yeah, and that's what I say about this case. You know, the last case here, even though people will see it as a loss, I see it as a win, a definite win. And you got to look at it in the context of 93 cases in 33 years. And that means I was in and out of those courts every 2, 3, 4 weeks, you know, no matter what kind of case it was: child support, child custody, traffic, suspended license, revoked license, insurance, seatbelt, whatever it was. Disorderly conduct, interference with official acts. 93 cases, you know, and now all of a sudden 7 years and not one. Why? Because I showed them I'm willing to step up and do my own learning and not blame anybody else anymore. It's my own fault. And again, like I said at the beginning, I was gung-ho. I filed the notice of intent to file claim. I filed the claim. I filed the writ of mandamus, And over my course of years, I realized that's not the way to go. I'm not supposed to be in them courts. I've got to do everything externally. And the best way to do that is Matthew 18, verses 15 through 20. Learn it and assert it. It's a private administrative process. 1, 2, 3, and you're done. You got 3 bats or 3 strikes. That's it. Just like baseball. What's going on, Timmy?
Hey, what's up, Keith? What's up, brother?
So what do you think? You just get in, or?
Halfway. But I actually watched it back. I was watching most of it. Just absorbing what you got going on. I wanted to come up because of our emails. I didn't know if you wanted to do I think you said you wanted to do a private one, but if you're going to talk about that topic, or if you already did, I'm not sure if I caught it.
Well, no, it's something I don't want to.
Okay.
You know, it's dangerous information. Put it
okay. All right, cool. Yeah, we can do it. I'll talk to you about it later.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Anything else, guys? I urge everybody, no matter what they're trying to do to you, no matter what situation you're in, get them school records, get them medical records, get all the records that they have, and start reading them and learn learn how to comprehend what's on there. Like I said, when I went to the emergency room because I had a problem with my shoulder, they handed me a fucking sales agreement. It says right on it, sales agreement. In that sales agreement, there's a contract clause that says customer agrees to make third-party payment so long as it's understood that credit is given to the customer's account. So if I'm the one that's making the payment, what kind of payment am I making? Can I make it through a credit card? And if I do so, that obligation is to turn around and give credit to my account. So it just comes right back to me. Isn't that the definition of circulation? It is that simple, folks.
So let me ask you something about mortgages and how trying to get them to comply, right? Because I'm looking like for example, I'm looking at a lady in her case. They got federal. They say it's applicable on the federal law. Then they got one that says Illinois, and then they got one in Maryland. They got all three jurisdictions, and the contract, it was saying that it was assigned to Illinois under statutory law, and I'm seeing people when they go in and argue, like Tiller, trading, what is it, Truth and Lending Act, the Fair Debt Practices Act. They're saying we object, Your Honor. Those don't are not applicable. And the court is saying, okay, all right, sustain. They sustain and looking at allowing these cases to them to deny these federal laws when it's actually in the contract. So,
well, the problem there though is everybody's buying that mortgage insurance, right? That's a mortgage protection insurance for the bankers. You've taken over, just like that bond in that case, you've taken over a surety and picked up the insurance. Now you're holding the insurance bond. You're the surety. You're not, that mortgage is already assured. Again, that's insurance under the administrative level. And it's under protection through that insurance that you're paying for, the installment plan. It's supposed to go to the judicial record. That title does not belong in the administrative courts. That title belongs in the trustee's hand, which is the United States Postal Service, the registered agent.
so
That's
she could
why they have that $10 capital transfer stamp on it. They're the ones that hold the initial mortgage. They are the real estate investment trust.
So should she transfer the jurisdiction to the postal court?
Absolutely, in my opinion. They're the ones holding the real estate investment trust. Hand it over the trustee indenture.
Okay, that makes sense of what we went over like a week ago, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this,
tell everybody, it is a mortgage, but again, the mortgage is insured, and that's what you're doing. You're not making a mortgage payment. You're making an installment payment on a mortgage protection insurance. And it's protecting the mortgage. You can't go against that mortgage in those administrative courts. You have to pull the mortgage out of the administrative courts, put it in the right hands. That's that title.
let me ask you, would it be necessary to do a W-9 and ask for
A directive, handwritten directives. The warranty deed, put that $10 transfer stamp on the front, cross sign it and date it, flip it over, write your directive on the back, put your thumbprint on the bottom, cross sign it and date it.
Oh,
There's sealed on the front side of the document that is in error because it's never been transferred as true capital. Therefore, it can't be an asset until you set the perimeters on it. That's the directive on the back. That's as
and that's all the warranty.
just like I showed you in the court case, as set, hereforth in, or here within.
So let me ask another question, right? Because I got people calling me now talking about I put a bond in the case. They wrote on the traffic ticket 15 USC whatever E whatever, and they throw it in the case. They saying, oh, the case was dismissed, or they put a bond into, or they filed a 1099 A. They did all of these different things, and they saying, how practical is those things that they're doing in relationships?
Well, those are all, everything in the UCC, all of those forms in the UCC. That's government service forms, everything. They're all for commerce. Admiralty, maritime, that's 18 USC 7, special maritime territorial jurisdiction. And in the UCC, it says that the law is to be uniform throughout all jurisdictions. So it's a uniformity all the way up and down the line. And those are known as Battle of the Forms. You're entering into a war. The War of the Estates. Those estates are supposed to be estates of deceit. If you're a living man and you've got your estate in a war, you're proving that you're not a man of a living word of God. You don't have your own will. You don't have a will of anything.
So, what is the best way to collaterally attack that?
You don't want to collaterally attack. You want to collaterally attach an alliance. And you do that with the United States. See, the United States doesn't have a central point of government. The United States is a set of corporate entities. The federal government means all entities of the government of the United States. That's not a centralized government. That's a webbed government that extends all over the place. Again, 18 U.S.C. 7, Special Maritime Territorial Jurisdiction. It's not centralized. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, since it's not a centralized state, so that automatically default us to the post office. Because
Correct.
it's not centralized, then the post office tell them what to do.
Correct. And that's why I say that federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including the United States Postal Service, which is the registered agent, and the Postal Regulatory Commission, not the United States Postal Regulatory. There is no such thing. It's the Postal Regulatory Commission, and that is the commission of the post office, who is the trademark holder. And all of those documents, all communications, those are trademark documents. That's why they have all them form numbers on there. They're categorized down the line through the administrative courts. Matter of fact, let me pull that up here real quick. Iowa Courts Online again, and I'll show you. I'm going to blow this up as big as I can. For exclusive use by the Iowa courts. Copyright, State of Iowa. All rights reserved. What do you think about that?
So they got exclusive use of the Iowa courts. So
And you have
about
and like I showed in that stuff, you got to register to be an online user. An online user.
so this is what I've been looking at from looking at, because what I understand is they're compelling a conversion under an application of law. They're saying, hey, you got to apply for these things. And once you apply to these things, they're using the law of attachment. They're saying, hey, you attach yourself to this jurisdiction. Now we got jurisdiction. Now you're like, hold up, I'm errors, omissions, defects, and mistakes. That wasn't supposed to be like that, right?
Right, and that's why I say it's not an attack, and it's an attachment. They're attaching that jurisdiction, but they're forgetting that 18 U.S.C. 7, Special Maritime Territorial Jurisdiction. If they're running maritime transactions, it's got to be in the interest of the United States. So you attach the interest to the United States as an alliance. Hey, I was born here. I cannot possibly be an enemy, so I must be an ally.
When you put in I got an affidavit of peace and friendship and due to the adoption when you have to put in an affidavit showing that you are a treaty party with an alliance, or how would you do an affidavit?
I wouldn't even do an affidavit. I just write private letters and let them know what I'm adopting and what I'm amending and what my terms are.
So
according to your codes here, it says expenses incidental to transfer of title to agency. Well, the agency is the Social Security Administration and the administrative law judge under the judicial office of the Postal Service. So I need everything sent from the state, my medical records, school records, loans, anything. Everything the state has in all systems to be gathered up, bundled up as a security at the state level, transferred to the United States, expenses incidental title to transfer to the United States, so that they can clear and settle all accounts. Anything that's a remainder gets expenses incidental and transfer of title to the United States Postal Service, merged with Keith Little under a new name, the Keith Little Faith-Based Union Trust. And that funds the trust from the credits. You don't need gold, silver, and material substances. You need to correct the error. That's where the credits sit. You don't make payments in money anymore. You make money payments by negotiable instruments, and the negotiation is payment in credit.
But when I was looking at it, right, they talk about trust money, right? The trust money is assets of the trust, right? So one of the things that I was looking at is the U.S. Mint and how the Federal Reserve buy all the coins from the U.S. Mint. So I'm like, okay, if the U.S. Mint is the only department, it's 4 of them, and I think it's only 2 that allow circulation of coins.
Correct.
So we shouldn't even be dealing with them. We should be dealing with the U.S. Mint, because in the Constitution it says they only can use coins.
Yeah, you mint your own coins. You can mint your own coins. Just like you can make your own homemade stamps, you can mint your own coins, guys. As soon as I get all this set up, that's exactly what I'm doing. Ye shall do greater things than I.
And when you just securitize your minted coins,
yeah,
and to make sure
again, silver certificate with the post office, because they're the world money changers. They're the ones with the scales.
I know that the post office do insurance on your gold.
Taxes, bonds, insurance. They're a one-stop bank. Bank, port, post, insurance, all of it. That's the seat of government. When you establish a country, you've got to have a post office so you can communicate with the rest of the nations. That's the first seat of government. This is why they don't teach civics in school anymore. If people understood that, they'd tell the government to fuck off and deal with the post office. That's the true seat of government. This thing, the United States posing as a government, would be caught out for the fraud that it is. That's administrative. You don't belong in them courts unless you're part of that system. And that's a military system. You have to be born into the military or select the military. Selective service.
So let me ask you this. Like, when I pull my information up, I'm still in the selective service. So do I contact the selective service and say, hey, I never truly understood and agreed with that?
Right. Now you just, hey, statement of separation. That's what I did. I gave him a statement of separation. I didn't give it in regards to the selective service number because I never used it, but I have one. I have it right here. I don't have it in possession other than here. I know what the number is. And if they ever have any questions about it, that would be the guarantor. That would be the personal services that I provided for. That was sweat equity of my labor that guaranteed everything, all these instruments to begin with. Social Security was the beneficiary number that never got used properly. All these instruments to begin with. Greetings, Eric. Beneficiary number that never got used properly. All these instruments to begin with. You're reverbing there, Eric.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on.
Eric.
And greetings,
Been a while.
Hi. I don't know how to mute the mic on my end, so I've been
Hey, gentlemen, how are
trying
you?
to be careful with my old man noises while you guys were talking.
Oh my
Good
God!
to be here.
Look
Nice
who's
to finally,
here.
have a chat with you, Keith.
Yeah, anytime, Ethan. Who are you
I know
talking
Ethan.
about, Eric? You know Ethan?
Oh yeah.
Well, let's not let past histories be past histories and cause any problems, right, guys? We're here trying to find solutions by reason and logic only.
Are we serious about that, Keith?
Absolutely.
I know, Eric.
Okay, bravo.
You know me, Eric. This isn't a fucking drama panel, so let's not do it.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with it. Well, I don't know what you've been up to these days lately, man.
Tubby Buddy U says, Dawn here. Faith is telling the truth. I have access to PIs and more about the alleged mortgage. I dropped my email down there. Feel free to contact me and discuss anything you want. I'd appreciate any information you've got above and beyond what I've got. So there's my paper or my email down there if you want to. Anybody wants to communicate. Otherwise, what's going on, Eric, Ethan? What are you guys thinking?
Well, I got a little video where some guys rolled up on my house. They said, "Hey, Eric, you need to call Anita."
And
oh wait, Ethan was talking.
Destroy it. So we're finally there's enough of us that are awake enough to comprehend the situation and figure out what to do. But the beautiful thing is we're under martial law, and most everybody just doesn't know it, and it's at this point it's a soft martial law. And I just looking forward to when everything flips and all this evil is put to bed.
Yeah, it will. And I got to remind everybody, though, that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And it's not going to be a big swing like a lot of people might think. I don't think it's going to be a violent swing. I think it's going to be more of an intellectual swing. And the people that are being cornered are going to start waking up and realizing, at least to some degree, their part in it, their culpability in it. You know, like I said, some of these people really do know what they're doing when they're converting the last name to a firm name and this and that. And you really have to put the boot to their neck, and that we will get them to wake up. I don't want to hang anybody.
I know. Can I interject something here? I mean, I'm not to.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, there's a lot of people that are still into the paperwork thing, like, you know, status and whatnot. You know, how to win in court. You know, the Dr. Graves. And I'm not poo-pooing on anybody by no means. We all go through a lot of stuff. So,
well, there's a lot of people who deserve it, and they know what they're doing, and we are being poisoned. The American Medical Association, the American Dental Association are the two leading causes of death in this country, and the bar is the leading cause of the enslavement.
The bar,
they're all protecting each other. And
those are all voluntary organizations, though. Any interaction with them is all voluntary, sir. So how are they doing anything to you without your consent?
Is that Timmy?
What's up, Eric?
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Well, where are you going to go for dentistry?
Why do you need a dentist? What do you eat that's causing your teeth to be fucked up?
And you can get
Oh,
your
my
teeth
goodness.
fucked up by the freaking 5G. It's not just
Well,
eating, man.
if that's where you want to go with this, it's bacteria, carbohydrates, and saliva that cause the plaques. The plaques are the breeding grounds for the bacteria, which are harmful to your teeth. There is currently nothing that's available unless there's something new to take care of that situation. And so,
Salt water.
pardon me? Say
Salt
again?
water. Some people just use salt water.
Well, some people do a lot of things, but there is nothing that takes care of the problem that's on the market that's available. And so the entire practice is, well, how do I want to get into this? Cannabis formulations prevent plaques. Therefore, they are beneficial. Plaques are harmful to human health. Plaques cause tooth decay. Excessive tooth decay leads to an abscess tooth, which leads to a root canal. The American Dental Association says that every root canal tooth is safe. They have no evidence that a root canal tooth is safe. The science proves that every root canal tooth is a toxic tooth. And they are poisoning the people that they are in. And they put in 15 million on average every year in America. That's 15 million poisonings every year by
Maybe so, but like how many people have had a gun put to their head for them to go to the dentist and get a root canal? This is my point, sir. I think the answer is 0, right? So, you can say that about most things, if not all things, regarding this quote unquote evil system that you're referring to. The dentist, the heart doctor, the attorney, everything.
Okay, fine, that's
right?
fine. Nobody's putting a gun to their head. I didn't say anybody's putting a gun to their head.
Okay.
I think the important part. I think the important side of the message is that we really need to start taking care of our health in all manners, particularly the teeth. Our nasal passage in our mouth is a sonic resonance chamber, and the teeth play a very large part in that, as they help shape the toroidal currents as we speak. This is one of the reasons that it's important to keep your teeth in shape and straight. The most profound thing, though, is that most people think that keeping your teeth straight and all that is for the looks. Okay. So for those with ears to hear, the word is much more important than what you look like. But at the same time, again, the important side of the message is the health and making sure you maintain that in a natural sense rather than keep going to these medical societies. They really are.
Hey, can I just ask a simple question?
Not to know its everyday job is to see.
Ethan.
Now, if there was any other profession, an auto mechanic, anything in the building industry, anything that was known to be that dangerous and promoted and paid for, it wouldn't happen. So I have been gang stalked by the highest levels of government, big business, big tech since 2015, since I discovered that cannabis not only prevents calcified plaques, it removes calcified plaques. Not only that, it rejuvenates lost gum tissue. In 2015, when I discovered this, it was written in the United States National Library of Medicine. If you have lost gum tissue, it's gone forever. It's not coming back. Colgate was advertising with it. I'm approaching 400 videos now on my journey. So I've got a lot to say about all of this.
I have one simple question.
It needs to be torn down. That is our duty and our obligation. It is not our responsibility, duty to be part of the fraud, to promote the fraud, to validate the fraud.
Okay, so collectivism then, we need to, everybody needs to be involved in your thing to go against some perceived mistake by beings that go and get voluntary procedures and take in voluntary information, and then they get fucked up from it. Now it's everybody's problem.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Back up. Back up. What are you saying?
You said our, as in multiple beings, need to go, and it's everybody's responsibility for the individual beings that made mistakes for their own journeys and their own lives, right? Why?
I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying.
All right.
Keith, can you
I
help
don't
out
think
here?
that-
What's he trying to say to me?
When we start using terms like we and you, we've got to be very careful. Today's modern world, that's the problem that we're having with these laws and codes, is people don't understand them. And so they've been subjecting themselves to the use of them. And that's not against your consent. It's actually our fault. And so our realm here is more deceptive than we think with this English language. Everybody thinks the English language is a founding language, and it's not. It's a language made up of multiple other languages that can be mixed and shaded just like any kind of paints. That's why they call it color of law.
And it's
Right,
actually
that's why we're all spellbound, and so
it's
and
actually
they
been
put division into
implemented.
everything.
It's
And so it's the volition, it's my volition, and it's my truth and my fact that that I'm expressing here. So yeah, from my perspective, nobody needs to do anything. Everybody's responsible for themselves. I say own your authority. I'm a
So why are you
whistleblower.
taking up this battle against dentists then, for example? Like if you're saying that nobody needs to do anything, everybody needs to take responsibility for their own actions.
Well, okay. All right. So is a dentist supposed to be a healthcare provider?
I don't know what these words mean. Like if they're licensed, then if they're licensed, they're taking up corporations and merging with the state and doing all that nonsense. Then I mean everybody should be educated.
Dentistry was here before all of that.
Right, one being to another.
So from the foundation of a dentist, what is that? Is that supposed to be torture? Is that supposed to be healthcare?
Or I mean, without having to go into the words specific and like one man's definition versus another, I presume the first man that said, "Hey, buddy, don't do that because don't eat that because that's gonna fuck up your teeth. Like eat this apple instead." I presume that his intentions were good and he wasn't trying to make a career out of it and lock somebody into some deceptive like yearly payment or whatever, right? Healthcare, in my understanding, right, is just one being saying to another in trust or good faith, "Hey, we should have like good health or healing," right? Fuck the word health. Good healing for our community, so our community is strong men, strong women, strong progeny, and everybody will be happy, right?
Can I just interject? Health care implies a third party. What about health duty? And however the individual designs that.
Well,
no, wait, Ethan, I was kind of talking, but okay,
off track of that.
I'll yield.
Dentistry, people rely on the dentist to have the plaques that damage their teeth.
Ethan,
cause
it's a
the
third
oral disease. They rely on the dentist because they're not trained to deal with that themselves. So I'm an educator, and I'm a whistleblower, and I have been gang stalked from all levels of government since 2015 internationally. I've been kept in poverty. I have been I've been put through a lot, and I know a lot of people have been put through a lot. Everybody's got their story. This is mine. And so I am advocating and fighting for the change that is needed. And I'm doing that as an educator, as a whistleblower, as a prosecutor, and in other capacities.
Can I just say
But,
something? I think the point of it is this is what trust is all about. I think this is what the institution of trust. So if I profess one thing and you profess one thing, I should trust you on your word that your intentions is pure. So the institution of trust is based on people being honest with each other to help one another with life so everybody can have prosperity. When the institution of trust is corroded where there are deceptive practices and unfair treatment, that's when you do not have an institution of trust. And this is what all of these things that these are trust law. You're talking about a seat. When we're talking about government, we're looking at an institution that
Wait, sorry, brother. Who's got the TV in the background?
that's my wife.
I'm talking about
Okay.
truth and fact.
well, I think what we're trying to get at here is it's a better concept to teach the people that need to learn, rather than teaching the people that are doing something wrong that they're doing something wrong. If you teach the people
Agreed.
that need to learn who's doing what wrong, then it's probably a better chance that they're going to think twice about going to a dentist next time. When it comes to your fillings nowadays, you don't go to a dentist to have the fillings removed, because the process is using mercury. So what you're doing is you're involving yourself in having mercury removed and getting contaminated even further. So you go to a mercury removal specialist. It may cost more, but it's going to guarantee that, hey, that's going to be removed in the proper way. Whereas the dentist that put it in there shouldn't have been putting it in there to begin with. He's not qualified to handle that mercury.
Hey, Keith, you're good at etymology, and
All right, so you want to just keep going on tangents and not get on the point. How about
No, that is the point, sir.
How
That is the
about
point.
all the men that are in prison? How about all the men that are in court, male and female? How about all of them that are on tethers? All that have had their lives destroyed for marijuana. And marijuana is essential for human health. I prove scientifically that marijuana removes calcified plaques.
Eric.
Cannabis removes calcified plaques. Cannabis prevents calcified.
Ethan, we know that. The problem is these administrative courts. We're not supposed to be dealing with them. Okay.
Well, of course not. That's why I say don't ever go in them. Never.
Okay.
Nail yourself in. If anything, the people that are trapped in them, they've got a problem. But what we don't have is lawful courts, except through the post. And there's no enforcement.
Ethan,
so
it's not
people
just
need
marijuana
to come
smokers.
together
They
and
lock
get
people.
this correct.
Ethan,
the system.
Ethan, enough.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not to do with anything but the fact that those administrative courts operate on contracts, and they have duped themselves into the prison sentence themselves. They did it consensually because they didn't know. That is their out, though. Because they didn't know, they can place a simple claim on the record. I have come to discover my errors. Please forgive me. I repent. I wish to settle these matters so that no person shall be held liable in any court under full acquittance and discharge in the interest of the United States, because I am an ally. Simple.
Ethan, it's not just people locked up because they had weed. How about the brothers that had freaking crack cocaine? I don't give a shit. Weed, crack cocaine, meth, heroin. Nobody belongs in those prisons. I don't care if those people would. The drug war. Our forefathers bought into that crap, not just marijuana. Stop with the marijuana crap, dude. People have been locked up for meth. People have been locked up for crack cocaine. It's the drug war.
Government,
it's the drug war, not just weed.
Well, it's even simpler than that, guys. It's people have been duped into contracting. They don't know how to contract. Everything they're offered, every document is a contract, and they think it's just an application. Oh, here, I'll apply for this, and they'll give it to me. No, it's a contract. You just bought something. What you bought was a liability.
And there's two sides.
What you
Listen,
bought
they
with
tried
your
to.
tax dollars, what our parents bought with our tax dollars, what I bought with tax dollars for my children, public education. Oh,
You know,
now
taxes
it's
are in
time
fact.
now.
Ethan,
Yeah,
you
you're
should.
indoctrinated. That's right. You're brainwashed. You're indoctrinated. You are spellbound. You need that driver's license to drive, little boy, little girl. You want to take little Susie to the dance. You want to have the car. You need that driver's license. See, it's all a lie. It's a lie to enslave you. And so education is key. And I'm thinking,
Actually, it's
I
not a
wish that I
lie.
could
Not a lie.
communicate with
It's
the
an
young
offer.
people.
It's an offer. It's not a lie.
14, 15,
It's an
16, 17, 18-year-olds.
Going back to what you were saying was about most people are in
So
prison
at
or
any
jails
rate,
because
Well, let me answer.
excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody else is
So-
speaking, please.
Most
Oh,
people
sorry.
are.
I couldn't
no,
hear
it's
it.
all right. Am I coming in clear?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Most people are in prison and jail because they volunteered to be there. I actually just got done reading a book by Robert Bork, Tempting of America, and he was a judge, and he said that same exact thing in the book. It's because we voluntarily put ourselves there in arraignment and sentencing, the whole 9 yards. I'd recommend the book. It's a good book. It's a good read.
Absolutely.
Another good book is Texas Tough.
It's not that simple where people say I mean, I get it.
Why not?
I litigated for a long time. It's like if you don't show up for court, even like I work with people, hey, we're gonna do a religious protest. We're not coming into the court. They still play the game. We still we go through the proceedings. We go through all the necessary components. We need institutions that's going to stand in place to help educate, because a lot of times when you dealing with the court system, the clerks are ignorant. You think a lot of these judges know what you think some of them do, some of them don't.
No, I don't think so.
A lot of people are just ignorant to these things, and they like when the clerk of court get elected, he bring in his own people, his own system. He set up his own parameters. They're not following the script. I go through that all the time. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Y'all not following the rules.
My local municipality, since the feds failed, I've discovered something. They rotate like on a circular thing, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the clerk of the court is actually a judge in another town. Like these people, I mean, it's not the feds, it's not the state. The worst.
Well, I pointed that out in my transcripts here in the court file there. I showed how a couple of these people, I never saw them as judges. They're not put on that wall down at that courthouse as judges.
Hey, it's a town justice, and I looked at the New York penal law. There's no definition of a town justice.
Yeah. See, and that's the kind of stuff, like I said, you got to get down to the terms and conditions of the words you're using in this English language. It is not meant to be used as a founding language. It is a colored language, and you have to dig at the roots.
And that's why I was giving.
Go ahead.
Forgive me.
So
No, that's why I was saying to the gentleman here about the personal responsibility thing, because we can't be relying on an institution to tell us anything, because we generate the law by setting notice via either our actions or our words, right? So we're actually setting law. So, like, for example, the people in China, is their system evil or bad, right? Or is it just what the people have acquiesced for, right? So that should have just is, right? So if they're not going to press what their law is, then they actually, it is lawful, their system, as insane as it is, right? Whatever that may be, right? It is
when
lawful.
I first lived in China,
right?
A long story short, I'm riding a bike before everybody started buying cars. I bumped into an old woman. She looked up, she's like laying on the ground. Yeah, no problem speaking Chinese. And then she saw me like a foreigner, and it was like cha-ching, cha-ching, cash register. Next day, I went to the police station, and I'm sitting there with the police arbitrating. And this woman, I couldn't speak that much Chinese. My Chinese wife is like, oh, yeah, she has a Rolex. And I said, and I'm sitting there thinking, this woman's a farmer. She wants $3,000 from me. And I just stood up and I said in English, I'm like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'd rather go to jail for how long can you arrest me? The Chinese cop says, oh, no, we can't put you in jail. I'm like, bye. And they're like, oh, but this is China. This is how we do it. So it's exactly what Tim said. This is what they acquiescence to. So it's the same in your native place, man. Do you want to go with the grain, or do you just want to no? Oh, but this is America. Oh, but I'm black. But I'm white. This is America. This is a Christian. Do you want to acquiescence, or do you want to stand on truth?
Well, I see an open-ended distinction between the democracy and the republic.
Yeah. Right now, the democracy is an implication. And they say they're bipartisan. Really? You're voting on the same topic, and you're passing the same bills. Looks like you're working together.
That's the Hegelian dialectic at work.
Yeah. And people just don't comprehend it. Again, that's why they took civil courses out of school. They don't want you to comprehend it. If you did, this whole place would be different. You'd have a lot more money in your pocket. It would be much more closer, the social dialect of everybody being equal.
But that's why.
Can I say, go ahead, man.
That's why I say institutions. I deal in the form of a religious sector, and I get my congregation, we contract with each other. Why? Because I'm my brother's keeper. I keep my brother. I keep my brother, and I stand up for righteousness in the sense, hey, he can't do that. There's a prohibition against that. We can't act in that fictitious capacity. He's already, because they're using these words to put you in under these spells and induce you to act, to perform. Unlawful conversion of rights. They're trying to put you in a condition because, that's what they do. I went to nursing school. I did all of the stuff that most people do. And then I got hit with child support. Didn't understand how to deal with it. So I had to go through the system, fight it, learn how to deal with it. And then, I got a remedy. It took
Wait, you had to support a goat? Are you a farmer?
No. But what I'm saying to you, I had to go through all of these things to unlock what I needed to see. That was the blessing, even though I felt overwhelmed at the time. But
trials and tribulations, man. You got hit with child support from a third party interjecting between you and your woman or former woman. That's the world we live in. Who are these people? See it, family court.
But this is what we do now. Now we got institutions. We put contracts in place. Wait a minute, Judge. You don't got no jurisdiction. There's already an institution that governs this, that already spoke for this rights for this family. We have our own family court. Here's our ruling. Here's to understand. There is no meeting of the minds here. You don't have no authority to do anything with these rights. Now, when they start trying to move forward, now you know that, hey, you can't do anything.
I want to ask Keith one question. I have a video if anybody doubts it. A couple gangsters were on my drive at the end of my property. They claim to be FBI. They're like, hey, Eric, you need to call Anita. She's trying to get in touch with you. Because guess what I'm doing? I got it on video. You need to call Anita. Is this due process, guys?
They're not supposed to be communicating with you.
I got it on video. You think I'm lying?
If you guys understand that, they're not supposed to be communicating with you.
Anybody want to challenge me? I got a time and date stamp with gangsters at my driveway. Hey, Eric, you need to call Anita. Oh, do you have a phone number anymore? I said, nope, disconnected. And I drove off. Hey, wait, guys, Anita is a supposed U.S. Assistant District Attorney. Are we living in a world where a bunch of gangsters show up on a white man's driveway and say, you need to call Anita?
Yo, bro, in the top left, have you ever done any of these situations where you just honorably notice them, and then continue to honorably notice them, and then see how that played out, without ever like calling them judge and saying, "Look, John, I'm not calling you judge because I don't see you as a judge. You're not judging anything," and not even really go there. Have you just done it by post?
Yeah, we have done letters to judges, and sometimes they just ignore them. It just depends. It depends.
Well, notices. Well, hang on. Notices are different than letters, right? Letters is A, B, C, D. Like,
I get that.
Notice.
Normally when I do things, like you can give notice at any given time in the court.
Right.
A notice can be given at any given time. So
what court?
So any court. Because what we have right here is court.
Agree.
It's dialogue. I mean, we're setting a stage in the presidents to communicate, and everybody trying to express their thought and opinions about whatever it is. So when you're talking about giving notice, I tell people, no, you can give notice at any given time. Like if you put the judge on notice, it's not a motion. So a lot of people are put in an affidavit. I said, no. Put in a notice. If you're going to do it in the form of an affidavit, put it in the form of a notice, in the form of an affidavit.
That's what I was saying earlier. I don't put in affidavits. They were wrong. I gave them notice.
Written as author. I always start with something like my words are truthful, hearing my yays be yays, whatever. You can mix it up, but hey, this is as author. Just add three letters on the end of author, and what do you got?
Authorized. I mean, I get all of that.
Authority.
So,
but can you answer, like, I guess you were answering the question, right? Like, have you ever done that? And it's like you either you or somebody that's working with you, right? You're like, hey, you're a man, right? And you're writing as a man. You're sending all these folks who have perceived to done wrong, right? Sending them a notice saying, hey, this is what I see, right? And then if and you're saying they keep going. Have you ever just done that and not acquiesced at any stage to their presumed jurisdiction?
We have put in notices, but sometimes you listen. There's not a one shoe fit all theory behind this, because you're going to have to go through certain extremes measures in certain areas. That's just how, because this is what you got to remember. Like when we talk about the clerk of court, when you have the clerk of court, he bringing his own people. They operate to their own beating drum.
Right.
So you might have to go through another process to step it up for them to get it. But at some point, you're gonna experience this, because can't nobody tell you there's a one foot shoe thing that fits all scenarios and it's going to work just by notice only. Sometimes.
No, but brother, I'll tell you one thing. I think Keith gets it, and he's expressed it. There's one form of action. It's civil, and I don't care. You can translate that to Ethiopian or Chinese or Arabic. And a lot of people like, oh, I want to do this common law and the state national. Civil means either you're a part of society, which is the public cesspool, or you're civil, meaning you've got the trivium, you've got something, and you're civil. society and civil. Why do you think they went from civics right before Keith's and mine generation, and they turned it into social studies?
I get that. I mean, you talk to a guy who's been in the court a lot, like Keith. Me and Keith are very familiar with each other. I know there's only one form of action. Even when we're talking about, you have criminal procedures and you have civil procedures. But it's all civil action. There's only one form of action.
Even the federal rules of FCRP, which ironically is the same as civil. They just so Rule 4, it says there's no. By the way, in criminal procedure, it doesn't say anything about criminal except the title.
Right.
But it says, warrant. I think it's Rule 4. It says, a marshal may deliver something to initiate a civil process.
Right. It's all civil in nature. It's all civil in nature, and it's permanent. It's a civil action. The issue that I'm saying, look, wait a minute. I have my own society. This is how we choose to move. I'm going to put you on notice.
Wait, this is our civilization, and you have that legal society over there. By the way, which has higher authority, civilization or society?
Well, let him finish. He can define the word how he wants, though, Eric.
No. This is society.
You want to point to another dictionary?
It's a hierarchy.
Much as we don't like hierarchies, they do exist. So society or civics, which one?
And you want to go for another man's dictionary, go ahead. But I know what he means. So
society is commercial.
I think I understand it.
Society is commercial. Civics is going to be trust. There's a distinct difference.
So when
Can you repeat that?
Society is the public side, civics is the private side. So you got the left, right, the merits, demerits, whatever. I mean, it's always duality.
Under our contract, we have a civil and criminal disability. I don't even want to play in them games. The way we do things, I can't enter into a contract with you because we have a civil and commercial disability. We can't enter into those contracts. It's a prohibition against our rights. So if they try to compel us to move in that direction, that's a religious discriminatory practice. You're compelling us to try to perform when we don't. And evidence of this, when you're talking about material facts, we're talking about material evidence. Where's the contract? We deal in contract law.
Subject matter jurisdiction.
So that's how I do everything. When my people come in, we contract. We deal in contract. I put the judge on notice. Hey, no, y'all can't move like this. We like people all the time. They say, hey, I gotta go to court. So we put in motions for non-appearance under special circumstances, and a lot of times it works. Based on religious rights. Hey, this person is under religious restraints. They can't do this. They're fasting. They're doing this religious. A lot of times they push it back, and then that'll give me time to operate under our religious guild and move in a particular manner. So that's how we do. So under our preference, I just tell everybody, like Keith, he has his trust. Hey, Keith, we're gonna contract. I'm gonna be Keith's brother. We're gonna protect each other. Why do I want to do that? So when Keith get into an issue, I know how to help Keith. The whole purpose of this, like Keith was showing, if all of us, if I got $1 and then you got $1, Keith got $1, Keith need $1, we just rotate the money in circulation. He's telling that so you'll never go broke. This is the whole thing about understanding everything.
Perfect example you reminded me of, King. King, you owe me $20. I owe Timmy $20. Timmy owes King $20. Okay. King, you got $10 bill. You're going to give it to me and pay me $10 of what you owe me. Now you only owe me 10. I'm going to take that same $10 bill. I'm going to give it to Timmy. Now I only owe him 10. He's going to take that 10. He's going to give it to you. Now he only owes you 10. Guess what? King El Bay has $10 in his pocket. Now he's going to turn around and give it to me again. Now he don't owe me nothing. I'm going to give it to Timmy. Now he don't owe. Now I don't owe him nothing. He's going to give it to King Bay. Now he don't owe him nothing. That's circulation. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that's
right back to the source. No matter what you owe, I could owe him $100.
See, that's why I don't. That's why I don't hate the elite. This is why I don't hate them. I know what we know what they do with the all caps name. We know what the J Donald J. Trump. We know what the stylizations mean. There's like very different trusts, different categories, different. You got the military. You've got the Christian legal name. You've got the all caps name. I don't argue with none of these things. I know what they are and what they are not. So you can hate these. And by the way, it's funny. Everybody's bitching that all these politicians are never accountable. Oh, yes, they are accountable. They are accountable.
You just got to find your bond.
You just don't know what it means now, do you, public? Nobody's held accountable. No, the problem with the public is they don't know what accountable means. Or am I missing something?
No, I think you got it good. Brother Derek says it perfect. Observe, record, report. That's accountability. You have to be able to have the reason and logic to make them accountable. How do you make them accountable? You put out the notices with them in it, making the accounting as you're giving it. That's a correction of the statements that are already in as a presumption. You place the supplemental facts on it that correct it. And they're caught.
Here's the problem with the MAGA people and the right-wing people are conservative. Oh, Hillary Clinton did all this to her computers or whatever. Did this and did that. And nobody's held accountable.
Speaking of which, Wizard, would you happen to have 10 minutes to watch my traffic stop from last night and just let me know what I could have done differently? I'm really wanting to learn more about what to say, what not to say, and what it means. Because I was going down the whole civil and criminal. He was saying I was a criminal because of the way my license plate were adjusted. I was asking if that's a civil issue, and I was just curious to know how you
just take the instrument and move on and deal with it tomorrow. That's what I would say, but go ahead, Wizard.
Yeah, we can do that after the show.
All right, cool.
Or after panel, I guess.
One of the biggest lessons I tell everybody, anything you say can and will be used against you. So pick your words wisely. Because that's the entrapment. They didn't brainwash you to think that you are these things, so you become these things. So
that's why I asked the law enforcement officer to read me my Miranda rights, and he said, well, you're not under an interrogation. This is an investigation. And I didn't know what the difference. I can understand what the difference was.
Why do you need somebody else to give you your rights? Let's flip the fucking script. All right, let's say fuck.
No, Timmy, no.
I'm not talking to you.
Listen, I'm not an expert in any of this. I wouldn't have said anything. Just give me the piece of paper.
Can I just say what I was gonna say? I'm just saying. I'm expressing my thoughts for myself. So everybody else, if you don't agree, whatever. I don't care about this thing. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm not on defense. I don't live my life on defense in any of these situations. I'm not doing wrong. So you know what? I'm gonna get them to talk. I'm gonna ask them questions, and I'm gonna get them to answer. And then anything they say can and will be used against them because I'll press a claim if they're doing wrong. Right? I'll ask them, are you claiming that I'm subject to this? Are you claiming this? Are you claiming that? And if they say yes and I'm reporting it, then they're fucked. So
let's go back 10, 15. Timmy's
Eric,
right.
Stop
Because
fucking interrupting me, man.
you go.
I get the gentleman in the top left. I understand. I totally get that. Anything you say can and will be used against you for people that are kind of new to words and all that. And I totally get that. I'm just throwing my hat.
But it can go it goes two ways, right, Timmy? It goes two ways. It's not a one-way street. Is that what you're saying?
It's
Correct.
just, it's not even, not really. I am saying it's a one-way street. I am saying that I'm a sovereign being, and anybody that is going to come to me and try to do barrier treats, like I'm gonna find out right away by asking them, by honorably noticing them to their face or in writing, that what is this? Like, are you claiming X? Are you claiming Y? Are you claiming jurisdiction? Are you claiming I'm a slave? Are you, like, what is that an order? Yes. Okay, so you're claiming I'm a slave. Because if it's not an order, then fuck you, leave me alone. Otherwise, it's duress. Like, it's very simple to me. I think this stuff is just, everybody overcomplicates it. I think, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I'm new. So.
I think it's all about, my method is effective communication, but that's a trained method. I didn't come to this realization, 15 years ago. I've been doing this for 14 years. It took a process of learning. I had to break certain things down to really be able to speak in a systematic way. Where now, and I think that was through all the litigation, all the different things. The average person, when first thing happens, if you put a 21-year-old and the police pull them over, they're gonna get nervous as shit. They're gonna be nervous. They're gonna be fumbling over the words. I just tell people the simplest thing is just be quiet. Let them give you your ticket, and then call me up and we'll deal with it appropriately.
No, I agree, but wait, you got to remember, I'm 50 years old, so most men and women in uniform are what? These days they're 20-something. So, okay, I've got some wisdom. I'm not saying my age matters, but listen, one thing I learned when I was in my 20s, I don't like people in uniform. And I come from a family of a bunch of Marine, jarhead, all that crap shit. Okay? But one thing I learned was I try to look at a man in a uniform, and I do my best to look at the man, I look at the man. And if I can't reach that, if I'm just dealing with a belligerent, I'm going to take that as a negotiable instrument, and I'll deal with it like whoever just said in the post office.
Exactly. Exactly. And I want to
can't reach the man or woman, then just have the wherewithal to say, yep, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and I'll deal with it at the post office.
Right. And I want to expand on that because Harry Nutt makes a perfect point. If you have a driver's license, you have rights only pursuant to that contract. And every contract you enter into, you lose private, non-statutory rights protected by the Constitution. Now, this goes to the transfer of that title. Like I said, you've got expenses incidental to transfer the title to the agency. Then you've got expenses incidental to transfer the title to the United States. Then you've got expenses incidental to transfer the title to the post office. Okay. Now that incidental transfer is taking those non-statutory private rights and putting them in the right place, because now you're outside of the statutory, and the protection is that the accounting with the post office named as a trust. Okay. Now you've taken it from the statutory rights at the contract level, transferred it to the United States at the trust level, and now it's outside of that public trust and it's operating in a private trust. This is beyond the Constitution of the United States and concurs with the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union. Look at Articles 26 through 30 of the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union if you actually want to contract with them. Otherwise, you just adopt the Constitution and use it as need be.
Or, it's also you have the and I don't want to hear about the whole, I hate the world government, but you know what? You also have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yes. I know.
It's one paper, Eric.
United Nations. I get
These
it.
are just paper. It's just a paper. It's just a paper that a couple old men got together and wrote it. I know, but we need to let's get to the core, Eric. Let's get to the core. None of these things fucking matter. If I hold a square of paper that says something in my pocket and I'm not operating on that license, it doesn't mean I'm operating in a fucking commercial capacity. If my vehicle, my car doesn't say that, give notice that I'm using that for commercial capacity. If I'm just driving if I'm moving traveling in my car down the road and there's a driver's license at home that they haven't registered, how would they even know? They can't even know this thing. And also, if I'm born at Walmart, I'm not a fucking citizen of Walmart. Like these things that happen once in a snapshot of time are not permanent in perpetuity forever. Like, and the Constitution doesn't fucking mean anything. Well, who gives a fuck? If you know right and wrong, then you operate off of that. Like, I think everybody's overcomplicating these things.
I think what you're looking at it is you saying, okay, this is me, and this is how I'm gonna do it. But what happens when you meet people that saying, nah, that ain't how we gonna do it? What are you gonna do then? When they're not to your reasoning.
Just act in honor and just be. There's always three doors, right? Door number one is just be a slave, do whatever they say, right? Door number two is be belligerent and fight them and go, no, you're wrong. Blah, blah, blah. But door number three is to stay honorable. Say, yo, I'm not a combatant. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I think you may think that I don't think so. So what is the situation here? Oh, I'm ordering you to do X. Okay, great.
By the way, I think that's called an idiot, not a child or an infant. That's called an idiot in Black's law. An idiot you can't contract. And that's what I did in Asia when I got first pulled over in China. I pretended I couldn't speak Chinese because I played the part, and I'm just pulling out pictures of my mother. They're like, "Oh, dumb foreigner, just go." So playing an idiot, that's door number 3. It's called idiot.
I mean, they may call it an idiot.
We're talking about a meeting of the minds. There's no meeting of the minds. So
then it's easy then, right? Because they're not being in good faith. So if they're not, I don't know if they are, but if they're not, then it'll be easily provable later anyway by their words and actions anyway.
Listen, when I say idiot, it's in Black's law. It means an idiot cannot contract, so there's no meetings of the mind. So brother got it. So the idiot cannot contract. See you later.
And like Timmy's saying, it's about staying in honor. And so if you see a presentment before you and see their errors, you stay in honor by letting them know of the errors and that you're going to correct it. Here, line item veto, overwritten with the correct term. Now, they made the offer. Okay, and you can make conditional acceptance. And that's by making conditions that are corrective in nature and improvements to make it good, because in your eyes it is not good because of this, and you point out their error. I am not the person, I am the man. Therefore, my capacity is not servant, it is customer. Customer agrees to make third-party payment so long as it's understood. Credit is given to the customer's account. Boom.
Or you could do the third-party thing where we just said, the idiot, we're like, hey, no habla inglés. And then, the mono language retard that only has a presentment in one language says, yeah, we're only going to make $100 off of this, or maybe $200. So now we're doing the calculation. We got to get an interpreter here, Chinese or Romanian, and we just balanced the books, and nope, move on your way, sir.
Like for a prime example, I had an issue last summer. My car had stopped, broke down on the E-way. People was in my car. They left my car. I pulled up. Hey, officer there. He was just being non-compliant. I was like, hey, man, I got AAA on my way. I was trying to talk to him real reasonably. He was just looking at me like I was a moron. He didn't care about what we was talking. He was like, well, I'm finna tow your car. I was like, nah, you ain't finna tow my car. So he was just like, telling me I can't move my car. So after I talked to him for a little bit, I just jumped in my car and moved it. And I parked it in a private lot. So the tow truck came. He was upset. So he wrote me a ticket for parking on the expressway.
Wait, a tow truck driver wrote you a ticket?
No, the police officer wrote.
Oh, because they're in cahoots. You know that these tow truck drivers and these local cops, man.
So highway patrolman, he wouldn't assist me. He wouldn't do nothing. So I went to court. Make a long story short, I just went in there, told the judge. They did everything in their power. Hey, the prosecutor was like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm making you this offer. This is what we're going to do. We're going to drop it to a headlight offense that you had a headlight. Then he said, no. I said, no, I ain't going for that. He said, just agree to the charges. We're going to waive all the fines and you just pay the court costs. They doing all of this stuff. So I get in the courtroom. He get in there. He said, Your Honor, we're going to drop it to a headlight charge. I said, nah, I don't agree with that. The judge was like, no, you can't even do that anyway. So went through the hearing. This went through and just smashed him, just cross-examining, and just rolled him over. So got acquitted from the case because I knew what to do and deal with it. But I just said, okay, I'm gonna go down here and just deal with it. And the bottom line of it is that I did like they say, stay in honor at all costs. But honorable, right? When we look at honor, where's your honor lies? This is why I get with my people and we contract. So we can show we were honored. We were acting in acquiescence to the accordance of what our religious guild say we can do. We're not going to act outside of that capacity for no man or no.
So can I hack at the root? Because I feel like it's just like that same thing with the dentist thing. It's like I don't want to complain about court or dentists. I'd rather go to the root. It's like why was either it's you or one of your people? Why was their car broken down on a highway? That's one.
It was a woman who called a flat. She was driving the car a flat. She had her son in the car. She was scared. It was raining. It was some other stuff. So she was like, hey, I got your car. I caught a flat. I don't want to, I don't feel safe. It was dangerous. She felt
right. So where's the community, the trusted community member? Why didn't you just call them and a trusted community member go and help her out and fix the car and get it off the road?
She was driving my car. I said, I said, okay, just take the car, leave it there. If you're gonna leave it, I called AAA. Hey, AAA, here's where my car is located. Could you go pick it up? Right. So they say, okay, we're going to pick it up. So when I get there, there's an officer there. I'm like, hey, man, I got AAA there. I just got off work. The car broke down. This is the scenario, right? Told him what happened. He was just looking at me like I'm 14 karat crazy. So he like, nah, I'm finna tow your car. And I'm like, why? He was like, just looking at me like a plain look. I said, you're not going to work with me? I just got off work. I do security. He like, didn't care. So as I was talking to him, he gave me this nonchalant look. He did not give me. So after talking to him for about 10, 15 minutes, I just jumped in the car and moved it. And then he followed. And then I parked on a private lot. And then I went to court, told the judge what happened. And the judge disagreed with me. And then when I was leaving court, he was saying all type of stupid stuff as I was leaving. Because he thought he got over. He thought they thought they was going to get me in there. They thought I was somebody that was going to go in there and agree with that and that I was nervous. No, I've been in these situations too many times. I don't care. I don't even care about the judge. I done won several appeals. I done won all types of cases. So I wasn't tripping. So when I got there, I just knew how to handle it. I had prosecutors and different attorneys giving me pens and paper. I was already prepared for the case.
Bro, can I just ask you a question? I know Keith's it's 2023 as we're told. Man, these courts, I'm so done with them. I got fake ass FBI on the edge of my driveway saying, hey, call Anita. That's the due process. I mean, I don't know where I'm at, but I got guys at the end of my driveway and I'm just driving out like, hey, call Anita. You follow what I'm saying? And I saw what they were doing. They had two guys, and they were just waiting for me to drive to get nervous and freak out and maybe pull out a gun or hit one of them because I saw one guy's edging up on me. And I'm like, nope, I stopped at the end of the driveway. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Call Anita. Call her ASAP. This is due process, bro. I'm not going to court again, man. You're going to have to come drag me. If that's all you got, two guys showing up.
Last time they came up on me 8 deep, and then they turned around and got my companion 3 or 4 deep at the apartment at the same time, trying to scare both of us. She was scared shitless, but she had enough faith in me. She knew better than to freak out about it totally. So when it was all said and done, you know, harboring a fugitive, huh? Good try. You know,
my mother's worried about that stuff. That's made up shit, man. That's TV crap, man. Aiding and abetting and all that shit.
They're just trying to scare you. And that's all. Anything they ever do is a scare tactic.
So, I mean, I was trying to get at the root of like, why be there, right? So if they keep doing that to Eric, it's like, and if Eric stays there, like, who's to blame, right? They're apparently what Eric's saying, like, those beings probably are doing wrong, right? But like, if somebody's doing that to me constantly and then I don't deal with it myself, like, what's going on here, right? So again, like, if my tire's flat and then I don't fix it and the car's there forever and then like some controversy starts, it's like, first of all, I know shit happens, right? Shit happens. But like, if I know that there's Somali pirates in the waters of Somalia, I'm not gonna fucking go there, right? So that's the first thing.
And I'm telling you, man, we're living in a.
I know, but that's to take ultimate responsibility, Eric. You have to go there first, right? It's like, if that happened on a private road, then it wouldn't have happened to that woman, right? But she's not on a private road. She's on a quote-unquote public road,
listen.
Right? And then step 2 is, if somebody's going to do wrong at any time, you got to deal with it and as best as you can, seeing them as, good faith, honorable, like presuming that they're going to be honorable, the I am that I am, and kind of trusting that they're not going to be doing barratry and doing all this shit. But if they are, you press a claim, right? So that's the thing. It's like, there is no ultimate thing that's going to work every single time.
Listen, my buddy in Texas, I like what he says. No matter where you go, I don't care what melanonin you have. I don't care what your net. Doesn't matter where you go. You want to go to a place called Thailand. You want to go down to Mexico. You want to go to California. You want to go to New York City, upstate New York, Canada. Man, if you're awake, you have to realize you are behind enemy lines and you're surrounded by zombies. And the zombies mostly look like your people.
Hey, whose fault is that? If everywhere on Earth you go around, there's zombies they're like zombies. Whose fault?
I don't know whose fault it is, man. It's the Matrix.
All 8 billion people are zombies. Like, and it's like,
no,
I don't buy that.
No, I didn't say all 8 billion, man. But look what this era taught us, man.
Like, I obviously, I agree, but like, again, it's like, what can I do about the NPCs, right? Or what can I do about, the Iowa Highway State Patrol? All I can do is preemptively notice them and then get on with my day and do right for what I see to be right.
You. I mean, be you, or dude, this is my thing. Listen, I'm not going to kowtow to you. I'm going to be respectful to a point. But if you want to be a bully, I don't know, just freaking kill me right here, dude. I mean, you got the guns, you got the, you got the Russian mob, you got the Jamaicans behind you. I've been doing this my whole life. When I had a bar in Miami, I had Russians come up there trying to extort money from me. I'm like, I'm 5'8". What do you want? I said, listen, I got Italian, I know mafia. I said, I'm not going to pay you shit. So you can kill me and get nothing, or I can work out a deal. But don't come with me with your guns. I don't care. Ooh, what are you gonna do? Kill me? That means you get nothing.
So, in understanding this, right, when we're talking about notice, understanding due process, there's 2 forms. There's informed notice, informed consent. So, what is the definition for being informed? What is an informed notice? What does that mean for a person to be informed, right? That means that in order for me to deal with you, right, in some form or another. I gotta have some kind of arrangement where there was some type of membership. So one of the things due process requires an oath. It's an oath. You saying I got to be informed. So in order for them to even communicate with you and to say that you have informed notice, I have to be of the same species as you, right?
Yeah, that's pretty clear. Actually, that's a good point because listen, in the real world, if you really trespass on another being, it's usually a quote unquote neighbor, right? I can't trespass on nobody in California, quote unquote, right?
Right. So
what? California is going to send me something in the mail and said, "Oh, you did something against
California law." So the one thing that happens is that
how'd that work?
So when we looking at due process of law, we got to understand. So I don't deal in marriage. I don't like to even talk about. We gonna stand on due process. I'm gonna stay here. There's two angles to due process. There's substantive, right, and then there's procedure. Substantive is what I try to teach people is, in order for them to have substantive due process, what they're doing is under our religious guild to contract with you, they're changing your status because your status is always a relationship with a thing in their jurisdiction. It's a relationship. So when you talk about bonds, what is a bond for? To show that there's a relationship with property. I look at everything as property. And if I don't have a relationship with that property, they're going to try to make you have a relationship and try to compel you to convert over. That's an unlawful conversion of religious rights.
Right. And also in those 93 cases, I also discovered a nice little document that they put in that we didn't see on this case here. And it was a restoration of citizenship. Okay. So when you sign that document for release paperwork, you're releasing your personal services as a citizen, and that's your restoration of citizenship. So when you refuse to sign that release paperwork, there is no restoration of citizenship.
Wow.
So wait. When you say you refuse to sign, I mean you can do UCC or an X or
no. I just told them I'm not signing at all.
Yeah, that's probably.
He said, "Well, we're not going to let you out." Then I looked over.
That's what they did to me. But they have 48 hours, right?
Well, no. This is upon discharge of a sentence that I was granted early release, honorable discharge. And the judge signed the discharge order, and she sat there and tried telling me she wasn't going to let me out. I said, I think you better go talk to the judge then, because I got a discharge paper he signed. I was out of there quicker than I'd been out of there in 35 years. Ain't been back. I know what it means. It's no restoration of citizenship. They admit upon that discharge there was no restoration of citizenship, because if there was, it'd be posted just like the other 92 cases. It never posted.
So
it's funny, they want to disposition you out of your property, right? Depose. They want to, a deposition, depose you. But then once you play their game, you got to restore it back to so you're back on the game playing Monopoly. So no, yeah. I will disposition myself. End of story. I'm not playing the game.
Well, that's what I showed. That's what I showed in the documents there online. It's a disposition hearing. So next time, if I end up going to any kind of court for a disposition hearing, they call out that name. Could you disposition that paper over to this position? I want to adopt that little motherfucker so I can raise it right.
This is what's convenient, right?
Well, you're guilty, so now you have to pay restoration, right? got to pay restoration.
But this is the beautiful thing about Keith's case, right? He could take that same case and place it into as evidence in another case.
I can take all 93 cases, hand them over to the United States in their interest, and have them get with the Postal Regulatory Commission to transfer them titles. Gather them all up at the state level. That's your bitch. You tell them. Here's the code: expenses incidental to transfer of title to the agency, and that's from the transportation code. That was from the driver's license or the state ID that comes from the Department of Transportation. Now that was dependent upon a birth registration, which has a birth certificate bond number on it, and a Social Security card that has both the public side Social Security number that can be used as a public liability in its obligor capacity, or the number on the back that is a Federal Reserve routing number that can be converted for its proper guarantor number to be routed automatically. Automatically. The electronic system, they enter that number into the electronic system, and it's because of that automatic that's already routed. Boom, goes through. Nobody can question it.
What's a case? I have a suit case.
Well, in these terms, etymologically, case means to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And when you enter that
hey,
case,
in case you don't do this, could you leave a deposit? So case, we know what case is.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, we're going on almost 3 hours here, and I still got to get with Ramon here. So we're going to shut her down here. I appreciate it. This has been an awesome panel and research in the beginning. I hope everybody that watches it all the way through. Watch it as many times as you need. Ask as many questions as you need. I've been around for 7 years. I'll be around for many more.
All right, Keith, I appreciate you, my brother. I told you we're going to be trying to get everybody to come back in on some other questions. We're gonna hit you up again. So,
all right,
and we'll be doing that. Like we got some other stuff. But
what's this guy's what's your channel?
King L Bay.
King L Bay, Moorish Union of Sovereign Tribes. So I did videos on that.
Yeah, he's on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube. I'll be on Facebook.
No, I've seen you before. I don't think I'm. All right, guys. Hey, thanks, Keith, man.
Thanks, Keith. All right.
Yeah, take care.
Hey, Timmy, good to see you. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to sleep. Oh, God.
Cheers, Art.
Ciao.
Later, right, Keith.
Guys, you bet. Anytime. And Timmy,
no problem.
We'll keep in touch, and we'll get that video done real soon here. Hopefully we can get together tomorrow or something. All right, let me end this, and Ramon and I will get at it. And in the meantime, remember, everybody, God bless. I love you. I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And remember, don't believe me. Don't believe your neighbor. Don't believe the government. Crying out loud. Don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. God bless. Have a good night.